guys have.
Does pausing aid for Ukraine leave Ukraine vulnerable right now and give Russia an advantage?
Look, what the president has said very clearly about our Ukraine policy is that he wants the Ukrainians to come to the negotiating table. We want the Ukrainians to have a sovereign and an independent country. We think the Ukrainian troops have fought very bravely, but we're at a point here where neither Europe nor the United States nor the Ukrainians can continue this war indefinitely. So it's important that everybody come to the table, and the president is trying to send a very explicit message. The Ukrainians have got to come to the table and start negotiating with President Trump.
He did not answer the question. The question was if pausing Ukraine funding would make Ukraine vulnerable. He did not answer the question. He did not provide any yes or no or maybe or whatever. As for negotiating with Russia, Ukraine is being invaded by Russia, violently attacked, Ukrainians killed. Why would you want to negotiate with them? Would Poland want to negotiate with Adolf Hitler during World War II? Negotiating with Putin is pretty much not an option. He's unreasonable. He's not going to be reasoned with. That's just not something that's going to happen, unfortunately, as a result of the nature of Vladimir Putin and the way that he rules. I mean, this is a guy who kills journalists, locks up political opponents, executes them. So no, JD Vance, that is not going to be helpful. It's not going to be fruitful. It's not in Ukraine's best interest.
For the mineral deal, do you believe that the mineral deal can still be reached with Ukraine?
Yeah, I certainly do. And I think the president is still committed to the mineral deal. I think we've heard some positive things, but not yet, of course, a signature from our friends in Ukraine. But look, the mineral deal is a really important part of the president's policy. Number one, the American people have got to get some payback for the incredible financial investment we've made in this country. A lot of the aid that the Europeans have sent has come in the form of money that is getting repaid to them. Well, it's really ridiculous and frankly an insult to the American people that the Europeans are getting a better deal than the American people. The president is just trying to ensure that the American people get a fair deal while simultaneously ensuring we have access to some minerals and resources that are very important for the economy of the future.
If Zelensky changes his posture, his focus, his gratefulness, as you guys have talked about, would there be a consideration of bringing the aid back on, or is that an indefinite pause, a long-term pause? Do you see it?
No, look, the president has been very clear. He wants the Ukrainians to come to the negotiating table. I think when the Ukrainians come to the negotiating table, everything is on the table.
What about the pressure on Russia?
Look, I think the most important thing, a lot of people have made this about public statements. President Zelensky needs to say that he's committed to the peace, or President Zelensky needs to apologize to the president. The public stuff doesn't matter nearly as much as what are the Ukrainians doing to meaningfully engage on what a peaceful settlement would look like. We need the Ukrainians privately to come to us and say, this is what we need, this is what we want, this is how we're going to participate in the process to end this conflict. That is the most important thing, and that lack of private engagement is what is most concerning to us.
So far it looks like a lot of pressure on Ukraine, but not much pressure on Russia. Do you expect to do maybe more sanctions on Russia or any other
That's a good point.
steps to pressure both sides if you want to have them on a negotiation table?
Well, I don't think that's right, actually. I mean, we still have a number of sanctions that are placed on the Russians. We do believe that the Russians economically are struggling because of this conflict. We do believe that it's in Russia's best interest, but also Ukraine and the United States' best interest to bring this conflict to a close. So we believe in applying pressure to everybody to stop the killing, because that's what the president's policy is, and that's what's in the best interest of the American people.
Apply pressure on everyone, even though it was Russia that invaded Ukraine and not vice versa, right? So both sides, this is false equivocation. This is a false equivalence. It's equivocating between Ukraine and Russia. One of them is the oppressor doing illegal actions. The other is a victim.
As a deal being a long way away, you just said if the Ukrainians came privately to the negotiating table, I could get things moving. What are we talking about timeline here? Like how fast can we get things back?
President Trump said that, or President Zelensky said that?
I believe that President Trump had said, characterized it as being a deal being a long way away.
So I know that President Zelensky said that, but what I think the president has said is that we can make a deal. The Russians can't continue this thing forever. The Ukrainians can't continue it forever. And most importantly, the United States can't continue it forever. Look, there are a lot of details to be worked out. There are a lot of questions about territory, about everything else. We want to have that conversation. We're not saying that we're committed to one pathway or another. We're just saying you can't even bring the peace to the forefront if the Ukrainians aren't willing to negotiate in good faith.
Okay, so it's all on the Ukrainians. Those darn Ukrainians just won't negotiate with their oppressor, Russia, as they storm in there and kill Ukrainians. What a load of malarkey, as Joe Biden would say. And JD Vance is smart. JD Vance is very smart. He knows exactly how to sanitize the worst things possible. Acquiescing to Russia is just making peace. It's just negotiating. This is very concerning coming from the Vice President of the United States. Very disheartening that someone in the Republican Party, the party of the people who ended the Cold War and basically put Russia and the Soviet Union in their place, are now like, yeah, no, Russia's great, actually. Russia's cool. Ukraine needs to learn to negotiate. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, or subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. This has been The Morris, The Merrier, and I look forward to speaking to you in my next video.